What's up, everybody? Jed Johnson here from dieselcrew.com. Of course, you know they call me Napalm. Another Q&A video here in the month of January. And this one, I ended up getting kind of pushed back a couple times because so many were rolling in when this first came. So I'm getting caught back up from some of the ones I ended up missing or skipping. Comes from dad_strength. Jed, do you notice any significant changes to grip training based on the health and texture of the skin on your hands? Lifting and grip training obviously produces calluses, and I naturally have very dry hands that crack and bleed during certain times of the year. I'm always curious about the difference between rougher surface texture versus skin that is conditioned and has a bit of moisture for helping with chalk stick. Okay, so have I noticed changes to grip training based on the health and texture of the skin? Yeah, absolutely, especially if your skin is real irritated, like at the end of a session, or if you actually have a tear, such as like you're training on the flask and it rips a giant chunk out of your thumb. That's obviously going to have an influence on how you're able to train. I guess what you need to do is you need to know how your hands are going to respond to training, and then plan accordingly, so that you have your best opportunity to produce the best numbers earlier in the session before your hands get all raw. So that's something to think about right there. I know for me that regardless of what's going on with my thumbs, if I'm torn up or if there's a spot there that I'm worried might tear, I know that I can always do some thick bar, and generally that does not cause too much issue with my thumbs. If even thick bar is causing a split that's already there to worsen, then what I'll do is I'll do like thumbless grip or something like that. Or that's when I take stuff out and put finish ball in or something like that, where I know that there's no contact and no risk of extending that tear, making it worse when I'm doing that lift. In my experience, when steel and iron are a little bit damp, then that's going to take chalk better and your lifts are going to be higher. So especially if you're taking equipment to someone's gym and it's been in your vehicle and you take it inside and the iron or the steel has had all that moisture attracted to it, a lot of times you can slap some chalk on there and get some of your best performances. I've also seen people that take their stuff outside, and when it's raining, for instance, they'll slap chalk on there and they'll get some of their best lifts. And that's because when there's moisture, it helps the chalk stick a little bit more, and the implements feel a little bit more tacky, and it helps your performance. So yeah, if you know that your hands start out a little bit more moist and then they dry throughout the training session, then the stuff that relies on friction you might want to put first in order to get your best result. Now, one thing that I'll say about keeping your skin in good condition is if your skin tends to be dry and lends itself to cracking more, then what I would do is I would focus not so much on applying lotions and stuff like that on your hands to keep them moist, but look at your diet. From what I understand, and I'm not a master at this, I'm not an expert at what I'm going to tell you, but this is what I've read and what I've seen in videos and stuff. Sometimes the condition of your skin is dictated by what you're eating. So you may need to increase some healthy fats in your diet in order to keep your skin healthy, keep it supple so it doesn't dry and crack. There's a lot that can contribute to the condition of your skins, especially if you're working with your hands and that's making them dry and then you're training afterwards. But if your job doesn't entail manual labor like that, maybe taking a look at your diet, including more healthy fats from different nut sources, from different oils, and putting that in your diet. Maybe that will lend itself to a little bit better skin condition, just naturally in that regard. I just find that the use of lotion or working hands or any of the creams you can use, while that makes them feel better short term, it doesn't always lend itself to better performance and conditions in a training session, because usually those things often make your hands slick, so you lose some of that. So that's something you want to play around with. Consider what you're eating for the day of your training session, the days leading to your training session. See if that makes any difference at all. Maybe it will. I know it's frustrating when your hands are cracked and it interferes in your training, because I've had that often in the past. Not so much anymore, just because after years and years of knowing what I can handle, I try to manage that as well as I can so it doesn't become an issue. As far as calluses, if you're talking about the calluses here, I do everything I can to avoid pressure on the calluses during my normal training. So I've trained myself, and I have videos on this, I've trained myself, like if this is the handle, then I put the handle kind of in front or on top of the callus and wrap the finger is over top. I don't put it behind the callus and then compress on top and pull it forward, because that leads to tears. I try to put the bar here, wrap like so, and then the pressure is not set up in a way in the callus where it's going to pull it off. If you're talking about like the toughening that you experience from, like, say, plate pinching, you want to try to play around with the location that the actual spot on your thumb that you're using for your pinch setup. Everybody's different, but you can see I don't have much of a web. It doesn't like come out very far, but I've seen some people's webs that come way out here. It's just like how we're made. You're never going to callus that up. That web is never going to get tough. So you want to try to work away from that if you can. Those are some things that you can think about related to that question. I hope it's been helpful. If so, give it one of these. Be sure to subscribe. Questions below. Share with your friends. All the best in your training. Take care.